All right, Eagle fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Let's jump into the latest Eagles news and rumors here on a Thursday. And there were some cuts that were made yesterday. We're going to start there and then work our way through the rest of the news. So, in kind of bizarre fashion, the Eagles have had OTAs the past couple of weeks, and then suddenly they cut three prominent players we thought would for sure be there for training camp. And none more surprising than the quarterback Jamie Newman cutting, which was, again, a big surprise for a lot of Eagle fans. They waived Jamie Newman on Wednesday. They also named former quarterback and I guess wide receiver Khalil Tate and fan favorite and favorite here on the show, Florida wide receiver, undrafted free agent Trayvon Grimes. They did go ahead and add another wide receiver, probably a practice squad guy, and Michael Walker, so they did sign somebody to replace Grimes and Khalil Tate, but it is still surprising they would go ahead and make these cuts at this point during OTAs, not even that close to training camp. These guys are already cut and gone. Now, Newman was a surprise signing after the draft. Again, the Eagles did not draft a quarterback. They're going to go into the season right now with just two. They got, of course, Joe Flacco and Jalen Hurts. They'll probably add somebody in the mix because they need a third body or a third arm in training camp. But to cut Newman so early tells me one thing. He must have been terrible at OTAs. Like, the only way you get cut this early at OTAs is if you have an injury, which he didn't, or if you were just absolutely that bad in a couple of practices without pads in front of the coaching system. And so I feel that the reason they let go Jamie Newman this early was because, very simply, he was absolutely terrible. Now, the real surprise for me, because Newman surprised a lot of people on Twitter, but again, if he was that bad, then just let him go. The surprise for me was Trayvon Grimes. I thought he was the dark horse to go ahead and make the roster, the big, tall receiver out of Florida, and yet he's been cut as well. So maybe you can re-sign him later on during training camp, but this tells me that they are much more confident in J.J. Whiteside, Quez Watkins, and John Hightower to go ahead and compete for that fifth, sixth, maybe seventh wide receiver spot right now on the roster. So a little bit of a surprise here. Again, not anything crazy. This isn't like, oh my gosh, they're cutting people left and right. No, must have been very, 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 very simple. These players did not do well at OTAs, and it was so painfully obvious that they were not going to make the team anyway that you want to get them out now, and you can bring in other players to be undrafted free agent signings or just free agent signings getting closer overall to training camp. I want to jump into a conversation here regarding Jalen Hurts. And of course, Jalen Hurts going into year 2 in Philadelphia, year 1 as a starting quarterback, has a lot of high expectations. I think a lot of us in Philly are expecting him to be a very good starting quarterback. I, for one, have compared him to Russell Wilson, saying he could, if everything goes right, become a Russell Wilson-type player. He has the skill set to do so. And the national media has been a little mixed on this, but they are going from some articles saying he's going to be a dark horse MVP candidate in a fantasy football, phenom. Others saying he's going to fall flat on his face and that, he has to be Superman in order to go ahead and even carry a very weak Eagles roster. So I wanted to give you guys two different articles here, two different quotes about the national media's perspective on Jalen Hurts, and then we can discuss it after that. So, first off, we go to the EstablishTheRun.com article, which is a full breakdown of all the different MVP odds going into the 2021 NFL season. Hurts right now is like 25th, according to Vegas, in terms of total MVP odds, which is pretty impressive, being that there are a lot of other non-quarterbacks that you would think would be a lot higher than Jalen Hurts. He has like a higher odds than Matt Ryan in Atlanta, which is kind of crazy. Let's throw up the quote, though. Quote, with that in mind, Hurts has the dual threat skill set that could make him productive enough to be in the MVP conversation, end quote. Which is a lot to ask. Goodness gracious, MVP here in year 2. Now, I get the thought process here. If he, lives up to the expectations and is everything that you expect him to be from Alabama and Oklahoma, then maybe he has the skill set to be an MVP in 2021. But it just feels so early to be throwing that on him already. Now, counter that with a Bleeding Green Nation article when talking about this whole conversation as well. And we'll throw that up on the screen where it says, quote, the defense is not going to carry the 2021 Eagles, nor will the running game, nor the receiving corps. If the Eagles are going to challenge for the division title, Jalen Hurts is going to have to be something similar, something close to what McNabb was in his first full season as the team starter. He's going to have to become a force in the NFL, someone who beats teams with his legs and his arms and makes his teammates better, end quote. So they're saying that, of course, McNabb came in like 10 games into the season back in 1999 and then was a number 2 runner-up MVP candidate in 2020. He had like 21 touchdowns, but back in 2000, that was a lot to go ahead and look at. Here's the deal. Hurts does not have to be Superman for this team to be successful. And that's my point when you contrast these two articles. Is one is saying, for sure, MVP candidate because of his skill set. And the other says, well, he has to be like as good as possible because the Eagles as a whole are a bad football team. Both are not true. I think you can sit back and say that Hurts has the skill set to be very, very good. Maybe not at an MVP level because that would be absolutely crazy and we'd all be super pumped in Philadelphia. But we also can't discount that Philadelphia does have a much better roster than what they put in the football field each of the last couple of years. Literally, it's much better than where it has been the past couple of seasons. And whether you want to just say it's Devontae Smith, you want to say it's the pass rush or the improved linebacker core, whatever it is, they are a lot better. And so I think that the expectations are a little bit too high for some and a little bit too low for others. I think his stats are going to be like this. Here's my prediction for a successful Jalen Hurts season. Again, this is if things go well. 25 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. He'll rush for about 525 yards and throw for a little less than 4,000 yards. That would be a 10-win Jalen Hurts football season. That's a really, really good Hurts season. I don't think you're going to get anything more than 25 passing touchdowns. I think he will throw interceptions. 14 is going to be a little bit too high for my liking, but it's what you get in a young quarterback. He will rush, but not for a ton of yards. He's not going to have like 800 yards rushing, maybe 400, 500 yards rushing, and then the passing will be close to, if not right around 4,000 yards. And again, the reason is the talent around Jalen Hurts is pretty good. I think the wide receiver depth chart is, again, way better than where it has been. As long as Devontae Smith lives up to expectations and Travis Fulgham comes into his own and Jalen Reagor plays well in year two, like every single team has these, caveats. Things have to happen for this to be a real, legitimate stat projection for Jalen Hurts. But you also got to remember that he has a good defense around him as well. Like this defensive line is top 5 in the National Football League, or at least top 10. And the linebacking core got a lot better. And if Fletcher Cox plays well, and obviously you get some production from Brandon Graham again, who was a Pro Bowl last year, and Ryan Kerrigan, who was newly added this offseason, this Eagles team can be very darn good, despite the fact that Hurts might have a little bit of struggles early on. It might not be at an MVP level of throwing 40 touchdowns and running for 800 yards. So it's interesting what the national media is doing right now with Jalen Hurts. I wanted to share those little different articles with you guys here on the channel to get things going. But I'll finish this segment by asking you guys the question: over under 25 passing touchdowns for Jalen Hurts in 2021. What do you think? I'm saying right at 25, so maybe under if you want to go right at 25 with me. Let me know what you guys think. Type O down below for over, type U down below for under. Okay, before we go ahead and keep going here, training camp hats are available, as of course Eagles training camp is just a couple of weeks away, and the hats are looking pretty darn good right now, if I do say so myself. Link to get them, chatsports.com/Eagles camp. You see that down below me right here, and it comes in a bunch of different sizes and shapes. I mean, literally, they got the fitted ones, the snapbacks, of course, the trucker hats, whatever you guys want to wear, depending on the size of your head, because my head's a weird shape, so I can only wear certain types of hats. But this will help you get ready for not only the summer, but Eagles training camp as well. And the link is down below in the description box. Brand new training camp hats, chatsports.com/Eagles hat. I showed you some more Eagles news and rumors here today on a Thursday, and there was an interesting little soundbite from the new Eagles tight end coach Jason Michael that kind of gave us a little glimpse into the Zach Ertz situation. Now, we talked about Zach Ertz a lot here, and I think it remains true that I think Ertz is not going to be an Eagle in 2021, but Michael was asked about this just a couple days ago, and he says that Ertz and him have stayed in touch and that he, quote, looks forward to an opportunity to work with him, end quote, going forward. And so it's like, okay, if they're talking, does that mean the relationship can possibly be mended? You remember, of course, Zach Ertz is still under contract, so it would take being cut or traded for him to not be on the roster. But it was interesting, again, what Michael had to say to the Philadelphia media when asked about Zach Ertz. We'll throw that quote up on your screen right now. Quote, I've had an opportunity throughout, early when we all first got here, I had an opportunity to call and speak with Zach, and I've continued to stay in touch. Consistent communication with him, throughout. So yeah, that's been good just in terms of the conversations that we've had, end quote. Now, I will stress this again. This sounds good for all the Ertz fans out there, including myself, who want him to come back and want him to be a part of this offense for at least one more year. This sounds very promising. Don't get your hopes up. Okay, just because the tight end coach is talking to Zach Ertz does not guarantee that Zach Ertz is going to be there. Didn't attend any of the OTAs. He said he's not going to attend any training camps. He wants out of Philadelphia due to a broken relationship between the front office and himself. Whether that's about a contract or not, we don't really know, but it's hinted that the contract situation is the real issue. Ertz will slide him. Philadelphia thinks he's too old, and you get the picture. So don't get your hopes up, but let it be known that they at least have had conversations. It's not a simple scenario where Ertz is just like, leave me alone, I don't want to talk, we're never going to speak to each other again. He's talking to the tight ends coach right now, and who knows? If there's no team out there that wants to trade for him, and trust me, he knows if a team wants him or not. I mean, he can talk to agents who talks to teams, and so he would know if a team wanted to trade for him and Philadelphia was just not letting him move. If no team wants to trade for him, maybe the best thing is for him to play out the remainder of his $8.5 million deal in Philadelphia, prove that he still has it, as he thinks and knows that he does, and then he walks into free agency in 2022, signs with the team for one final contract, and goes into the twilight years of his career. Now, of course, if he's not here, then Dallas Goedert will be the number one tight end, but I'm curious, regardless of where Zach Ertz is, who will be the better tight end in 2021? Zach Ertz or Dallas Goedert? Type E down below for Ertz, type G down below for Dallas Goedert. Okay, final story here today on the channel in terms of our Philadelphia Eagles news and rumors. We'll be quick about this one because it's official. Almost all of the draft class has officially been signed. So 8 of the 9 Eagles draft picks in 2021 have signed all of their contracts, leaving Landon Dickerson as the only unsigned pick as it currently stands. Now, of course, the new CBA does not allow for rookie holdouts, so Dickerson can't hold out. It's a matter of time for him to go ahead and sign his contract. It could have already happened. Literally, after filming this video, uploading it, it could happen today, but I think we all feel confident that, at least what we know, at the moment he's not been signed, but we're confident that he will be signed here in the near future. So, quick rundown again. Here are your rookies who are signed and inked and will be, of course, ready to go for training camp, as you saw them all at OTAs. Devontae Smith has been inked. Milton Williams, Zach McPherson, Kenny Gainwell, all the big new toys up there with the first 5 rounds in the NFL draft. And then all the other guys in the later rounds. Taron Jackson is going to be competing for a pass rusher spot. Jacoby Stevens competing for a linebacker role. Patrick Jones, the final pick in this year's NFL draft class for Philadelphia. All of those guys have officially been signed. Again, Dickerson, the only one not signed right now. You got to believe it's probably due to the fact that they're working on a contract discussion due to his injuries. I think he probably wants a lot more guaranteed money, and then Philadelphia's a little concerned because of the injuries he's had in the past. So I'm sure they're just kind of taking their time on that one. I'm sure Dickerson has some specific wants in his contract, which I don't blame him based on the fact he does have past injuries. And so that will happen, but that is your draft class. It has officially been inked. Everybody but Landon Dickerson. Before we end, drop a like down below for the 2021 rookie class. I'm pretty excited about this bunch. I mean, we talked about it a lot here. I think that it's going to be a pretty darn good bunch, and it all starts at the top with the first 2 picks in Devontae Smith and Landon Dickerson. So if you like the draft class, give me a thumbs up down below. Ultimate for today here on Philadelphia Eagles Now. I am your host, Thomas Mott. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Plenty more news and rumors, including our weekend mailbag video coming up. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day.